So many of you listening are incredible filmmakers, but if you're stuck in the cycle of always editing with no time to actually work on your business, it can really stunt your growth. Taylor and I see it all the time. A growing backlog, late nights behind the computer, and no space to focus on booking, marketing, or scaling. That's exactly why we're so excited to partner with Wanderlust. Wanderlust offers professional video editing services for filmmakers, including highlight films, feature films, documentary edits, ceremony and speech edits, elopements, and even social media teasers. And the best part is they match your style, so your films still feel like your artistry. Whether you edit in Final Cut, Premiere Pro, or DaVinci Resolve, they deliver a seamless outcome no matter which platform you use. Outsourcing your edits means more time working on your branding, making it to that networking event, and carving out time for education to actually grow your business instead of being buried in footage. Head over to wanderlust-videos.com to learn about their amazing services. And as a listener, you can get $100 off your first project with Wanderlust of $200 or more with the code LEVELUP100. If your backlog is keeping you from working on your business, Wanderlust is your solution.
This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of the Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Petrinovich, joined as always by my co-host, Kelly Gilster.
Hey friends, and if you're listening, Taylor and I are currently in Charleston for the Hybrid Co.
Yeah, it's been we're recording this in advance if we're being honest. So I'm sure we're having a fabulous time meeting all of you guys. And if you are at Hybrid, then you will have seen our special surprise. And if you follow us on Instagram, you'll have also seen we have set up a mobile podcast studio at Hybrid, and we are inviting Hybrid attendees to come onto the podcast, ask their question, and get some live coaching on the podcast. And so we are so excited to be rolling those episodes out here on the podcast coming up in just a few weeks from now. You guys, it's going to be a lot of really great content. Of course, I'm sure you guys get a lot of, insight and wisdom from just episodes with Kelly and myself, but it's so fun hearing other people's perspectives and what they're thinking about and things that they're working through and listening to those being, addressed in real time. So we can't wait for that. But this week on the podcast, let me roll it back. Last week, Kelly had a great idea for the podcast where it kind of circled to a story in her personal life. And if you missed that episode, go back and listen to that one when you're finished with this one. But this week, she has another great analogy that still kind of stems off of a story from her personal life, but in a completely different way. And it's about gardening.
Gardening. Who knew that 2026 Kelly would be such a gardener? But you guys, if you haven't tried gardening, it has been great for my mental health. It is a great way for me to just get outside, get some sun, and it's kind of mind-numbing. We have a lot of iceberg rose bushes in our front yard, in our backyard. It's just kind of what came with the house when we bought the house. We bought a home that was flipped, and they kind of planted a lot of rosemary, rose bushes, lavender. It's actually all of my favorite things. But since then, we've been doing a little bit of a rehaul because we've owned the home now for about 4 years, and things have died. And there's some blank spots, and we're just working this spring a little bit to zhuzh up the yard a little bit more. So we had help of someone coming in to help some new plantings, but I kind of like to do it myself sometimes. I don't know about you, Taylor, but there just is something really nice about breaking up your workday or the mundane things, and I can be out in the front yard and my kids can be scootering around in the driveway, and it's just been really nice. So as I was doing this and I was going through and I was budding my roses, because I love to do all the pruning of my rose bushes, because to be honest, my gardener just doesn't come at it with the same intention and care. He will definitely just go at those rose bushes with one of those hedgers and just mow over all of them. But I like to really get in there and prune off after each bloom what has kind of gone through its little season of life as a bloom and then cut all and bud off all like the dead buds. And as I was doing that, I was actually home with the kids at the time by myself. Paul was out grocery shopping. He came into the driveway and I was like, wait, grab your phone. Can you take some pictures of me right now? Like I full on, no makeup, just in like regular clothes. And I'm like, can you just like grab some photos of me? Because I have a great analogy. Because to be honest, I'm always thinking about you guys, podcast listeners, mastermind students. I'm always looking for analogies that I think help paint a picture of understanding personal things that are in relation to business. So I texted it to Taylor and she's like, I love this idea because it's so true on how we should be approaching business with the same type of care and intention and the rotation and cycle in which we should be pruning these rose bushes, AKA our business. So if you think about a rose bush, Taylor, are you a gardener at all?
No.
Absolutely not. You have a pretty backyard. Who takes care of that?
We do have a yard person, yard maintenance
Yeah,
guy, and
like a
I think
once a
he's
week.
probably similar. I think he does kinda, like, also very quickly manage the hedges and the bushes. But we do have one iceberg rose bush that we have. Oh, okay, this is actually gonna be great. We have not cared for it, and I haven't done a single thing, and guess what? That poor little guy looks actually, it's really tall, but, like,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, it doesn't look great.
Yeah, it probably looks, like, very, like, emaciated and, like,
Yes.
skinny and straggly. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've had a few that have not been cared for on, like, the other side of the house that definitely have taken a different shape because of the care and intention. Like, the you can tell that the stems are, like, really thin and straggly, and I'm like, "How is this even still alive, actually?" And it doesn't bloom as much and often as, like, my other ones do that I've paid care and attention to. So
Are
let's
you
get
guys
into it.
drawing the parallel between this and business, guys? Are you, like, picking up what we're putting down so far?
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into it. So I go in and I'm, going through and there's different blooms, and maybe I'll throw in some pictures. There's different blooms that are still beautiful and thriving, but then amongst it are kind of those dead blossoms that have lived their lives. And what happens is if you don't go in there and you do that pruning, it inhibits the next bloom. It affects it in a negative way, and it doesn't allow it to be able to grow the same amount of buds that turn into blossoms that make your rose bushes look so pretty and impressive in the front yard or in the backyard. And I didn't really care for them as well. And I let the gardener kind of like go at them aggressively. And I decided, okay, I'm taking back matters into my own hands and I'm actually going to take a more dedicated approach and careful approach to these rose bushes. And it has really changed the whole look. The blooms are more flourishing when it goes through that like process. And also the rose bushes are just in a way better shape in general. So let's look about this in the parallel to business. When I'm talking about trimming off those rosebuds, it could be things like archiving your Instagram, right? It could be updating your portfolio regularly. It could be swapping out your primary images on your website or implementing and letting go of some shots that maybe were really impressive in your 2023 season, but now you have a different approach or a different ideal client now. And so you need to swap in some imagery that is going to relate to them, right? We have to be on this ongoing cycle and approach if we want to see our own business bloom and flourish in the way that we want these rose bushes to as well. Taylor, any other kind of like parallels as we talked about this before we brought it to the podcast?
Yeah, so I'm going to, for all of you who don't have a green thumb, I'm going to like bring in my perspective because Kelly clearly cares and loves her flowers, and I love looking at them, but I don't know what I'm doing. And so many of you, right? Like probably feel the same way about business. You're like, I know I like take really great photos. I know I make really beautiful films, but I don't really know what I'm doing with business. So, from my perspective, all you have to do is plant the rose bush, make sure it has sunlight and water it. And shouldn't it just grow? Shouldn't it just flourish and like be great? And of course, in the beginning, that's going to work. Like that's really all it needs that first couple seasons, right? You notice that every year it's growing by 6 inches to a foot. It's looking great. But then by year, this is like my backyard. This is actually what's happening. By year 4, 5, 6, you're like, oh, that just watering it and some sunlight is actually not working anymore. Like this thing is like taking on its own life and actually it's not looking great. Ooh, I've noticed that like the aphids have actually been attacking these leaves and like there's like weird bugs in the petals and like it's just kind of growing haywire. And that's, I think, where so many people are in business. Like they're like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing. Like all it needs is sunlight and water. All my business needs is like for me to go out and shoot, just book more weddings, market myself, book, shoot more weddings, market myself. And you're like in the cycle. And then you're like, oh, my business took on this life of its own and it's not the way I'm seeing other people's businesses look. What are these other gardeners doing to their rose bushes? And Kelly, it's not literally until you told me that you were supposed to do these things to a rose bush did I know that. Like I would have just kept watering it and letting it be in the sun for forever and then been so annoyed and disappointed why mine didn't look like everyone else's. Well, guess what? There's tricks to the trade. Anyone who has a successful anything, there's things going on behind the scenes that no one has any clue about because no one really talks about it. And so if you want that flourishing business and that flourishing rose bush, it takes more than what meets the eye. It takes the pruning, it takes the budding, it takes like all these things that you're like, oh, I had no clue I was supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's so true. This is also where I feel like maybe you have that mindset that I see so many other mindsets of photographers and filmmakers coming to us with is maybe you've just decided like, well, I don't know, other rose bushes are looking great and thriving. I probably just have like a weird one. Mine probably just like wasn't meant to be strong to begin with. And that's what I see that as is well, I live in a local market where I'm just not going to be able to charge those rates. Or I live in this weird one-off market where like people just don't pay for photo and for video. Like where you just kind of like you make up these objections for yourself and your business so that you don't have to take responsibility for the fact that you didn't take responsibility for the rose bush, for the business to begin with, right?
Yeah. Or like, I don't know, like my friends are able to charge X, but like I can never book clients at that. Or I'm not getting any leads and I don't know why. And it's like, well, what are you doing to like market yourself?
Right.
Um, okay, we're looking at our businesses, aka our rose bushes. So what are like some things we should be doing? Like I'm a newbie gardener or a newbie business owner, like I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. So like looking at that, like what are the steps you're supposed to take and why, which is actually I think more important. Here at the Level Up Co, Kelly and I truly do believe that an elevated client experience from the very first touch point of that first email all the way through the delivery of your wedding films or those final galleries are all so important. And that's why Kelly and I both have been using and loving VidFlow for the last several years, and we recommend to all of our students and our audience members to use VidFlow as well. Delivery experience truly matters. The way your clients view their films for the very first time should be a magical moment. It needs to be a professional and branded experience, instead of basic file sharing like Dropbox or Google Drive, or even Vimeo or YouTube links. Through VidFlow, clients can stream their videos through smart TVs, streaming devices, and setup boxes. Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, you name it. There are so many options for clients to watch and experience their films for the very first time on the big screen at home. And VidFlow is now offering photo delivery as well. They now support photo delivery with their new hybrid galleries, which is a major benefit for hybrid shooters and combined photo and video teams. You can now deliver your beautiful photo galleries alongside your video galleries in one place. Level up your delivery experience for 2026 and beyond with VidFlow. You can get started today by going to vidflow.co/thelevelupco.
Okay, so let's start with the number one thing that we all know that plants need, which is sunlight and water. So I would say water would be like you actually pouring into your business in some capacity. So that would be like posting on a regular basis on Instagram, right? Let's just take it from the Instagram approach, right? Then it needs sunlight because when you water it, you're being able to like the sun is reflecting onto that plant, pouring into that plant. And let's think of the sun as like your peers and your followers that are actually now because you've watered, it's like a one-off cycle of life, right? Then let's get into some fertilizer. So maybe the fertilizer is something where it's those showpieces of things that the showpiece events that you had from 2025 and coming up in 2026 that you are using to up level the whole feed as in general. And then also then archiving, right? So that's when now the blossoms are happening. You've watered, you'd add some fertilizer, things are looking good. There's a great bloom and blossom. Maybe that's like a marketing sprint that you went through or a really great booking wave and window. And now you've gone through the cycle of shooting those weddings for that season or that quarter. And now some weddings are going to remain blossomed and they're going to hold on to that rose bush a little bit longer and it keeps the integrity of the rose bush and of the business. And then others have been like maybe a quick little bloom where like they've gone off and they've died and now it's time to get in there and trim away all of the dead blossoms so that the blossoms that are actually flourishing and bringing the right attention to your rose bush aren't getting lost in the mix of all of these dead blossoms that are really watering down just the integrity of the roses. And you want those shining stars to shine, right? You want those beautiful blossoms to be shining through. And so that's going to take archiving things on your Instagram feed that no longer serve the direction of your business. And that's a hard thing to do. I think that's where people get the most lost. One, because they're so personally tied to their clients. It's
And
really hard.
every little rose felt like so much work to grow. And so there's this like emotional attachment of like not wanting to like clip that one off, even though we know it's dead. Like we can see it's wilted, like it needs to go. Actually, I'm gonna like expand on this analogy a little bit. Like I would actually consider our businesses as more of like a rose garden. There's like multiple rose bushes within the garden, and like there's gonna be one for Instagram, one for your website, one for relationships, like one for how you're showing up on the wedding day. Like back in the day, I could show up on the wedding day 15 minutes early in my, I kid you not, black jeans and sneakers. And I was so close to ordering polo shirts with my horrible logo on them. Like
You were
that was
not.
me. That
You
was
were
me.
not.
I didn't
Fleeting
pull the trigger on that, but oh
Fleeting
boy.
Moment Cinema would have been rockin' a polo.
With a turquoise like graphic of a film camera on the logo. Oh, it was the
I
glory
have a
days.
question. I have to sidebar this for a second. What was the inspiration behind that?
Fleeting Moments Cinema?
No, like
Or
the polos, like the polo needed to happen. Was there just like someone that you saw that was like looked like they were thriving in the industry with a polo?
well, just like everyone else, the only other experience I had with the wedding industry was when I got married myself, and that's what my wedding videographer did in 2015. And so I was like, okay. But actually, you want to know what? My wedding photographer showed up in a suit and he had asked about like the color palette of my wedding and he bought a tie to match my wedding. And those are very different experiences with those two vendors. I think like with the video stuff, like video bro culture. I'm sorry, guys, if that's you, my bad. But like the video bro culture, like kind of overtakes some of that. And I think that that's what sets people who are able to scale into the luxury market apart is like they let go of those like beginning days video bro culture. And they're stepping into the new level, which photographers like just as a whole, like they were so much faster on that than video people.
They
But
really were.
it's also like I think that it's more common for videographers to like start out in like corporate commercial, like that kind of project, and then get into weddings and like they don't realize that yeah, you're showing up for like a quote unquote shoot, but like it's very different. And like I think that they're not seeing that they need to show up differently as well. But yeah, so that was me. And if I kept doing that, I would have never gotten a referral from a wedding planner ever in my life. So I pruned that wilted rose real quick.
Yeah. I love the garden analogy. That's so true. So like you have the website, you have social media, you have your wedding day presence, you have your back end workflows. Is there anything else that I'm missing? that's like
I mean,
blatantly
your
obvious?
pricing, how you're doing proposals, the sales process, like relationship building, delivery. Like there's so many things. Like I used to deliver on Blu-ray. Well, I was going to say DVDs, but they're not high enough quality. Like Blu-ray discs. Like if I clung to that Blu-ray in 2026, people would receive that and be like, I don't even have a Blu-ray player. Like, how am I supposed to watch this video?
Oh my gosh.
One thing that I think is important to know, actually, I clocked this like 5 minutes ago when you were talking about it, is you started off with the water, sunlight, and fertilizer. And that's like additions. That's what we're adding. Oopsie, sorry. Like adding to the business. We're adding to the rose bushes. And I think most people think it's like the more the better. Like all I have to do is add, add, add. And like as a novice gardener, novice business owner, that's what I would assume too. But it takes a more advanced business owner getting to the next level to realize that actually like what takes like a good rose garden and makes it an amazing flourishing rose garden is actually what you're taking away. I've seen like a great quote, I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to do my best, of like, great design is not adding more, it's actually taking away as much as possible before you lose the integrity of the design. And that's kind of a little bit like how we approach business too. Like taking away the bad is sometimes more important than adding more good stuff.
Yeah. It's so fun when we get to do the individualized reviews and audits of like all of our mastermind students, their website, and then we do a separate one for their portfolio and we do a separate one for their pricing and proposals because it's hard to know what exactly to like prune back to be able to make impactful changes. I actually had a one-on-one with a previous mastermind student a few weeks ago, and he was telling me that as I was going through, he's an alumni student now, and as I was going through and looking at his banner for his brand new website, I was like, this is great, but let's prune back a little bit more and let's restructure this. So he said to me, he's like, I listened to it and I was like, okay. I mean, I guess I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. But then he's like, but then I did it and I put it up on my website and I was like, oh, wow, this is so much better. Like sometimes you just don't know until you actually implement and try. And that's why it's really helpful to have a mentor of some kind to get outside of like your own personal ties to your work as a business owner so that especially a mentor that understands who your ideal client is and what your goals are, because it's one thing for someone to just like come in, not understand your goals and all of that and just tell you to like move all these things around. But when you get to work with someone for a week by week capacity and they really understand the ethos of the brand and what the next era of the brand is, I've been using that a lot when I've been doing like brand audits for people, is like eras of business. And I can say that 618 Studios has gone through, I can calculate over 15 years, it's gone through 4 to maybe 5 eras of business. I would say like there was some where like I made a little bit of a change on the website, but it wasn't like a full refresh, I would say. And so, and that's okay. Like it needs to, right? We can't just dump the water on it, hope that the sun is out and pour some fertilizer on and just be like, well, let's see what happens. Like we have to restructure and prune back the garden and be able to really pour into it to see the changes.
I almost like want to play your voice memo on the podcast because I feel like the way you had initially said it, like I was like, yes, I want to see if I can find it. Is that okay? You're actually
Yeah.
so cute. You were like, I have an idea for the podcast. Let me know what you think.
You guys will get it. Yeah, let's play it. If Taylor can find it, let's play it. And then you guys will get an internal look of like how these ideas form and how we just love you guys so much. Like we just, like I said, we think about you so much. We're constantly looking for, I'm just in the garden doing my thing, thinking about how I can spark new inspiration for you guys and really get the message across that this business is worth fighting for. It's worth pouring into. It's worth growing and flourishing. And that's our whole mission here at the Level Up Co. The narrow spicy brain is spicy today. Two more things to add to the chaos is just thought ramblings. Yeah, I think that's
Just the
it.
concept of how important it is to stay up on like pruning the areas of your business that are going to like move the needle. So portfolio, Instagram, copywriting, little brand refreshes here and there. So like our flowers, they bloom probably quarterly. They do like a big quarterly bloom. And then once they do like a big bloom, you're kind of left with a bunch of roses that have kind of run the course of their bloom journey. Kind of the same thing with our portfolios or maybe even like our logos, headshots, all those things. So it's so important to like kind of get in there because if you just leave it as it is with all of those like dead blooms, we'll have to think of a better like thing than dead blooms. But what's going to happen is it's going to keep that next bloom from being as flourishing and impressive. They'll just kind of like hold like weight on the flowers and not make room for new buds to form and then blossoms to come from there. So like regular upkeep on the blossoms to keep the cycle of this rose bush flourishing and all that.
There we go. The
I
inside
thought it
of
was just so
Kelly's
good.
Kelly's
Good.
neurospicy brain.
What I really liked is you said, like, quarterly blooms. I was like, yeah, that's kinda like the
Yeah.
cycle of the wedding industry, like, that's what I'm doing. I'm refreshing things, like, kinda quarterly, like, it's pretty tried and true. Every, like, 3 to 4 months, I'm gonna have a new wedding where I can throw it on my portfolio, take an old one off. I might go archive crazy on my Instagram. I'm going to, like, do some top of mind stuff with, like, my planner favorites, like, that I wanna keep working with, like, it kinda does take on this quarterly cycle, and again, it's, like, just as important to add to and take away from, like, both are equally important, whereas most people think you just have to water it and call it a day, but nope, you gotta prune it too. Um, I love these analogies, like, I think everyone just, like it's gonna take a new story for it to click in some people's minds where, like, maybe we've explained it, like, 10 different times, but in ways where you're like, "I'm still not seeing it." But, like, our hope is, like, kind of reinventing the concepts, like, in new ways, like, it's going to show you the light, kind of. Like, basically, Kelly and I feel so strongly that the way we approach business, the way that we approach our business strategy, like, works, and it's our job to, like, lead you down that path alongside us. Like, that's what we're hoping for, and if you're listening to this podcast, whether you're brand new to it, and welcome if you are, or if you've been a listener for a long time, like, you keep pushing play for a reason, and our hope is that every time you do push play, something new is gonna click. You're either gonna take away something actionable that you can go change today. You're going to take away an aha moment or an insight, or we're going to do a big mindset shift. And that's the goal of today's episode. Like, if you have just been letting that rose garden of a business just kind of do its own thing with it, with the rainwater and the sun, and haven't been paying close attention to it and pouring your time and energy to it, can you really be so disappointed and surprised that it's not the garden that you're wanting at the end of the day? So, the Luxury Mastermind kicks off here in a few weeks. It starts officially on March 17th, which means the doors shut on March 10th or 11th. I don't know, whatever that Wednesday is. We're still a few weeks out, but we would love to welcome you into this new cohort of students. We have an amazing crew so far. We've been slowly pre-enrolling people into the mastermind, and we've officially hit like open enrollment time. So if this struck a chord, if you are ready to prune back that garden with some help from seasoned gardeners. I'm hoping that this analogy isn't getting tired, guys, but I'm sticking with it. Then Kelly and I would love to welcome you inside. thelevelupco.com/mastermind. And I will note too, this is the last time it's going to be offered at this price. We will be doing Mastermind again this year, but next time it's going to go up in price. So if you want to hop in as it currently stands, now is your time. Let's get that business going because you deserve it. Your family deserves it. Future you deserves it, and we want to see it through with you.
Yeah, that's great. All right, guys. Well, we are having the time of our lives in Charleston as you guys are listening. Again, if you're a podcast listener and we had a chance to meet you in person this week, Thank you for coming up and saying hello. And it is such a joy to be able to be in community in person with all of you. Taylor and I are often recording these by ourselves solo in each of our homes. And so it's just so fun to see the community that listens in and supports this podcast. And it's just so great. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And we look forward to another amazing episode for you next week.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.